Hey guys and welcome back to another new What If here. Today we are doing What If Jiraiya died instead of Minato, and what I mean by that is obviously when Naruto first starts the first episode, and right in the beginning we hear a tale, but we also learn further into the series that Minato, Naruto's father, had sacrificed himself to, I did the Reaper death seal sacrifice on his self, giving his soul to the Reaper so the Reaper would seal the fox. Half the fox in him and the other half in his, in Naruto, his baby boy. But, in this timeline, firstly, Naruto will be female, and secondly, Minato will be alive. Thirdly, Kushina will still die, and Jiraiya will be dead as well. So, yeah. So, let's get into this. So, we'll see three figures arguing as, these three people will be, I'll introduce them by how legendary they are, the first being the least and the last being the most legendary. Firstly would be a man with white spiky hair and a Hittite with the kanji for oil in it. This person would be Jiraiya of the Signing. Secondly would be an elderly looking person. This person would be Hiruzen Sarutobi. Kinda has retired third Hokage, and Hiruzen Sarutobi was also the person that trained the three legendary Sannin, and also he had grown to get two nicknames. The first being the Professor, as he had learned at least one jutsu of every basic elemental nature, and the second being the third god of Shinobi, and last but not least, the most legendary and feared person of them all, Minato Namikaze, the current Hokage and fourth Hokage. It was said during the Third Great Ninja War that he had ended the Third Great Ninja War solely, and by the time the war was ended, he had gained a nickname as Konoha's Yellow Flash, being the fastest man alive. And why, you may ask? These three legendary people were arguing? Quite simple. A couple of minutes ago, Minato Namikaze's wife had just given birth to his first and only daughter. Their first and only child, a girl, which is called Mito Uzumaki. After Kushina after the first Hokage's wife, Mito Uzumaki had helped Kushina in kind of understanding and what to do once she'd become a Jinchuriki. And so Kushina had named her Mito, and Minato had named her Uzumaki. Anyway, the three were currently arguing because, a masked man had appeared and had, threatened to kill, and had kind of baited / tried to kill their daughter by having an explosive tag on the blanket that was wrapped around their newborn baby. lucky enough, Minato was fast enough to take it off and teleport them away to the safe house. Then time he'd come back, the Nine Tails was ripped out of his wife. And after a battle between him and the masked man had fled. And he had teleported back to Konoha to talk to the third, but surprisingly Jiraiya had come as well, was there as well, so that's currently where they were. But then all of a sudden they would stop arguing and snap their necks towards the fox, as they could hear a noise, and as they would be staring at the fox as the fox was getting ready to fire its Biju bomb. And in terms of power, in terms of explosive power, well, quite simple. There was nothing as powerful as the Nine Tails' Biju bomb. Nothing could block it, or push it aside. The only thing you can do is just hope it wasn't aiming for you. Though the fox had fired it, and it seemed like the fox had fired it at the Hokage's monument. Minato had sign release as he turned to the two and say, well, we'll continue this stalking there. Well, I'll be back in a flash, as he would disappear in a yellow flash and reappear on the Hokage's monument with his hands out with a red three-pronged kunai in his hands, in between them, as the Biju bomb would slam into it, as then the red marks, or the red kanji, would start to glow, and then, well, kanji would erupt from it, going into the air, and then form a black, just pure black abyss. As then the Biju bomb would be sucked inside, and then around 5 to 10 miles away from Konoha, another circle very similar to the one that was currently in front of the Hokage monument had appeared, as the part of the Biju bomb that was being sucked had reappeared there. As a couple of seconds would go by as the entire bomb would be sucked in, as then the circle would close on both sides, as the bomb would fly in and blow up after hitting some trees and a couple of hills it had blown up, as the explosion could be seen and even felt from all the way back at Konoha. As Minato then teleport back to where the two were, as he would just saying, I have to do it, there's only one way to make sure the fox, to get rid of the fox, and that's to seal it. And she was like, well, I'll use my own child to do the sealing. I'll do it, so. But before you could finish, Jiraiya would kind of go, no, Minato, I will do the sealing, and I can understand why you've chosen your own daughter, but let me do it. You know, Sensei here is a bit too old to do it, so he's so sorry, Sensei, but you know, you're too weak. If you was maybe another 10 or so years younger, maybe you would have been able to do it, but yeah, I'll do it. I'll be the one. As Minato, you've got a daughter that needs you. Konoha will need you. and your daughter will need you the most. She would have just lost. She would have never known her mum, and it would just be terrible if I don't do this for you. Don't do this for the village, and simply let its Hokage, my own student, sacrifice his life. As Minato would go, but no, let me do it. As Mito would sigh and go, fine. As he would grab Jiraiya's shoulder and then teleport away and reappear in the safe house where he had teleported Kushina after, just before she could collapse. As Kushina would look at them and know why she'd go, no, why can't you choose, why can't somebody else hold back the Nine Tails, why can't somebody else become the Jinchuriki? And as Minato would go, you know dear, I can't, like, if I'm not willing to do this, I cannot willingly sacrifice another person's child if I'm not willing to do the same sacrifice. Said Sangai, Minato. I know. He would then put a hand on her shoulder and then teleport the 5 of them away. No, 4. Yeah, the 4 of them away. So they would reappear in a giant clearing. I was trying to just stare at him before Minato would disappear and then reappear in a giant yellow flash, this time appearing with the fox. Jiraiya would let out a whistle of just pure amazement of what Minato can do. Sure, Minato didn't have the reserves of an Uzumaki, but he was very good at controlling and using the chakra he had to its utmost ability. As then Jiraiya would start going through hand signs at a rapid pace, as Minato would then start profoundly alter, as Kushina would then chains would erupt from her back, wrapping around the fox and anchoring it down into the ground. As some other chains would also form a barrier around them. So if the fox did try anything, at least the damage would be within the barrier itself and there'd be no more casualties. As Jiraiya would then finish, as he would then say Reaper Death Seal, as the Reaper would then form behind him, as the Reaper would already know what his summoner had wanted, so it would throw its ghostly hand into Jiraiya and then into the fox, and then it would pull the fox, it would fling the fox, then turn the entire fox into chakra and then fling it into Minato's baby girl, as then a seal would form on it, as Jiraiya would then quickly run through hand seals and say summoning jutsu, as a toad would appear, but not just an ordinary summoning toad. This toad could seem like it had something different, and while this toad was generally used for contracts or that, as Jiraiya would then quickly write down the key for the seal, as then he would turn to Kushina, as Kushina would put her hands onto her baby, as she would channel a bit of her chakra into the seal, so that so that when the time came, she could at least be there for a child to help her baby with controlling the came to take control of the Nine Tails' chakra. She'd be there to help her out, and after doing that, she would then die as the ghostly figure of the Reaper had faded. And Jiraiya would look at Mito as he would say, look after her, Minato, and make sure you raise her right. And I'm proud of you. I've never really told you this, but I saw you like a son I could never have. I loved you like a son, and I'm proud of you, Minato. Protect this village and protect your daughter. Protect them and make them proud. As you then finally close his eyes and pass away, as some tears would be at Minato's eyes. As then he would hear a cough as he'd turn around, as the frog would just be waiting there going, sorry for the interruption, but could I now go inside of you? So Minato would just kind of creepily and shakily nod his head before he'd go out, open your mouth, and after the frog had jumped in his mouth, which means I'd go, don't want to try it, I don't want to do that again, it's slimy. Yeah. He then grabbed the dead body of his wife and his father figure and mentor, as he then disappear in a flash of yellow and reappear in front of the Father Kage as he'd go, I'm sorry, Minato, I know you've lost a lot today. Well, we both have. We both have lost our wives, and you've also lost, a mentor, and I've lost a student. As Minato goes, yeah, but at least his sacrifice wasn't in vain. As I guess he died maybe how he'd always wanted to, as a hero. As he would just nod his head, as then an Army would appear and go, Hokage-sama, the council that wanting a explanation of what's going on. As Mito just signed and nod as the army would disappear, as he'd grab onto Huzin's shoulders. He would then disappear in a yellow flash and reappear outside the council room's doors as he would open them. As the council would be, the civilians would be, would release a sigh at seeing their Hokage alive and well. So they're curious who defeated the Nine Tails. There are only 4 of who could have defeated it would be Minato, but seems like there wasn't even a scratch on him, so who could have done it? And he'd walk in as everyone would quiet down, and he'd hear sighs of relief, though Donzo would seem a bit surprised. A bit surprised that he was alive, because Donsud figured that there was probably only one way for the QB to just disappear, and that would be for it to be sealed inside of inside of a child. And he'd guessed whoever that girl was in his arms was the Jinchuriki. As Minato would sit down with his baby girl, as a civilian would ask Hokage-sama what happened. The fox, it was released, as Minato would say and go. It was I'll explain to you now, as he would explain what had happened, how a masked man who he may believe to be Madara, as when he'd gotten a up and close look at the fox, he'd seen these Sharingan eyes, as many people would stare at Fugaku, as Fugaku didn't really know how could this be possible, and Fugaku didn't really get along with Minato, so Fugaku had also thought maybe this could also just be, a way that Minato was kind of punishing him, as no Uchiha was seen on the battlefield, and they were all hiding, so none of them, no Uchihas, even in the ninja rankings, came out to help, not even the police force. Minato had saw that as suspicious and treasonous to not help out, as like every other Chunin, Jonin, heck even some Genin had tried but had failed to help out, tried to go to the front lines but were told to just go to bed, to just get home or evacuate the civilians to the shelters, which they would do. And and after explaining, then he'd said, as now everyone knew who the child was in his arms, his baby girl Mito Uzumaki, as Minato would warn them, if anyone tells the civilians or ninja population out there who the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails is, I will personally kill you. Have you got that? Do you understand? As heard nod, and the civilian council would nod more so. I said, go, good, now dismiss. And the reason why Donzo was there was because the civilian council was formed as under war or a possible attack on Konoha, this civilian council would be formed just in case of the Hokage had passed away during the attack or the war, so the village could still function, and the previous Hokage would be called in to ask what was going on, if the previous Hokage was still alive. Luckily there was, and they'd waited to call on him just in case he was helping now in front lines, and they didn't want to disturb him, only disturb him once the fox had disappeared, and once it had happened they had called on him, and surprisingly both him and Minato had come, so yeah. After that 4 years would go by, as currently you would see a redhead darting around a front room or a living room, and just darting around at speed, jumping up and down as you'd say, Daddy, when is Gigi, when is Gigi, Auntie and Kashi coming? As you'd say, calm down, Mito, calm down. Don't worry, they'll be here soon. They'll be here. Just calm down. I said, go, but I can't. I'm excited. I'm excited to see them. As you just chuck her, as you'd go. Yeah, well, they'll be here soon. As you'd nod, then she'd all of a sudden get a bit sad as Minato would see this and go, oh, what's wrong? Mito, as she'd say, well, I wish Mum was here. Well, unknown to them inside the mindscape, the fox was as the nine-tailed fox would smack and go, well, how about this? Though neither of them knew that the Reaper had granted you a pretty much second chance. Yeah, like roughly a second chance, huh, Kushina? As the now name as then a red-haired girl would reveal herself and go, yeah, seems like it though. Like, yeah, I wish her a happy birthday every year, but just wish I could actually talk to her, like she could actually hear me. I just wish I could talk to her. Flashback 3 years as well. One that flashback 2 years ago, the fox had awakened. She'd awakened and had looked and then looked into the child's memory as she'd say, still too young, as he'd then catch something right out of the corner of his eye. So he'd snap his head towards it as he'd then go wide-eyed. How are you here? How Krishna, how are you here? Like, I can't be dreaming, right? As Krishna going, no, I've been here for 2 years. Well, when I had awoke, the death god or reaper had, told me that it had sealed me inside of my child. For what reasons, I don't really know. So, yeah, it seems like I'm here and that it sealed my soul here, so I won't be disappearing anytime soon. And, since then, a year, they were talking for, they were talking, and a year later when Mito was around 3, Kushina had said sorry to the fox. Fox had looked at her a bit confused as Kushina then explained that she'd jumped to conclusions about how the fox was, and that she just assumed, like Mito and other people did, that it was just a giant monster. A giant demon, but in reality it had feelings of its own, as he just shrug and go, hey, well, at least you know now. Better late than never. Was that kind of chuckle bit as then the giant fox had gotten back to its story. And the fox had, and now back to presence as the fox had just saying, I'm gonna, well, once this day is over, I'm gonna nap until, well, I don't know, I guess when she comes and meets me or us for the first time. In this case, we're just kind of nodding, understanding. Anyway, back to the real world. A couple of minutes had gone past since then. That is a knock at the door as Mito would then be jumping up and down as Minato would go, calm down, Ruby, calm down. No, not Ruby, Mito, calm down, Mito. Soon get up, I should go, no, it's my birthday and I can't wait. Plus, Daddy, will you start training me? As he'd think about it for a second, as he'd go, well, yeah, I guess we can start on chakra control exercises. And that is, well, yeah. She'd kind of look at him a bit dumbfounded, but wouldn't really say nothing or complain because, hey, it was training. She got what she wanted. Yeah. And as he would then walk to the door, as he would open it, as Mito would then peek behind his legs, as then she would jump up and go, Auntie, you're here. As well, the auntie of hers was, well, her godmother, Tsunade. And if you're wondering about how Tsunade wasn't in the village, well, after, well, flashback 4 years, it was morning of the Nine Towers attack, and he had sent out a letter for Tsunade to come back, and, well, he was currently at the front gate to know because he'd mentioned about Kushina, Tsunade would be here within seconds, no matter where she was in the elemental nations. Tsunade had always appeared in seconds, because after all, it was her last living, relative on her, on her grandmother's side. So of course it would appear. As, well, yeah, a couple of seconds later, and she would with Suzune, as, on the pretty much run there, dragging Suzune behind her. She'd seen it seemed like it had been attacked by a giant creature, and she just hoped that Kushina was live. As, well, yeah, as Minato go, well, it's good to see you, Tsunade should go, well, it's nice to see you too, Minato, but where's Kushina, how is she doing? As Minato would sigh and go, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but she's dead. As a tear would come out of his eyes and fall, as she would just kind of gasp and go, how? After she'd given birth to our child, a masked man had appeared and he would explain the whole ordeal as Tsunade, after hearing it, would just let out a couple of tears, and she would say, so I have no living relatives left. As Minato would go, you do. Wait 1 sec, as he disappear in a puff of smoke, as a second or two later Minato would appear in a flash of yellow, holding a couple hours year old baby. Tsunade would look at Minato again and then see the baby in his house. As she would gasp and go, is that it? And I said, Nadia, this is our baby. This is our baby. Mito Uzumaki, named after your grandmother, because she had helped Kushina and explained in how pretty much how to suppress and the fox and that. And Jiraiya had sacrificed his life to seal the fox inside of Mito here. So, yeah. Tsunade would just kind of nod and go, can I hold her? As Minato would just hand his baby over as Tsunade would smile a little bit and go, she's a lot like Kusuna, isn't she? She's like Kusuna's twin. As Minato would go, yeah, she is. And there's pretty much nothing of a semblance of me. It's literally like she was a clone of Kusuna herself. As Tsunade would go, yeah. As Minato would go, well, we need you, Tsunade. The village needs you to heal a lot of the injured. And that only chance is you. And as I'm now the Hokage and not Sarutobi. If you stay, maybe your apprentice, if she's good at medical ninjutsu, maybe teach a class at the academy for medics, so then on the team we could at least have maybe a possible medic on the team. So look at me to a bit wide-eyed. You'd actually do that? Go, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and plus it'd increase, survivability for teams and that. Should think for a couple of seconds and go, plus, any time, I'll have to leave Konoha to do, go to, the sand or another of the elemental nations. I can't exactly bring her along now, and if you don't stay, I'd have to leave her with Sarutobi, and I'm not exactly willing to leave her alone with him, because he's A, a bit of a pervert, and B, he smokes. So I'd rather you, his godmother, her godmother, look after her. Should go, wait, godmother? It's yeah. Well, we tried to get in contact with you beforehand, before the birth, but you didn't bother to come, so, yeah. This is what we wanted to tell you. Kushina decided to name you her godmother, and Jiraiya was going to be her godfather, but he of course decided to sacrifice himself, as she'd decide and go, well, Sasune, seems like we'll be moving back to Konoha. As Sasune would go, what, you mean it? We'll be coming back? As so I go, yeah. And that's pretty much how Tsunade came into the village. And back to present. And after Tsunade pretty much walked in with pretty much cuddling well, yeah, cuddling Mito. A couple of seconds later, he'd knock at the door, would be heard again, Mito would go up and open it. As who's inside Toby and Kakashi would be there, as he would let them both in before shutting it, as yeah, as they'd all come in, as the other two would say happy birthday to her, as well she'd say thanks back, as Minato would go, well, as I was saying before, before you start opening your presents and getting underway, I do want to tell you something, Mito. I can't wait any longer. It's eating at me. The longer I wait, the more it eats at me. So I am going to be telling you now. Though everyone in this room currently knows about it. Is that, Tsunade and Kakashi legitimately know what, as Sarutobi would be thinking. What would everyone in this room know except for her? No, he wouldn't tell her about her Jinchuriki status, right? It wouldn't be such a good idea though, especially she finds out this young. He wouldn't, would he? As he'd go, what is it, Daddy? As he'd sign and go, well, it's the truth. About 4 years ago, and on the Nine Towers attack, you know your mum was a Jinchuriki, right? Yeah. The Nine Towers and that pervy sage had killed the fox, right? As well, in a mindscape, Krishna could be heard giggling at what she decided to call Jiraiya. Yeah. And anyway, back to the real world. He'd said, well, that's not exactly right. He did sacrifice it himself. He did die, but he didn't kill it. Should go, well, that makes more sense, because how do you exactly kill a chunk? Well, how do you exactly kill sentient chakra? Which would, Sarutobi and Kakashi would be a bit, surprised at this, though. It wouldn't really surprise Tsunade, as, Tsunade, she'd come around, once a week, pretty much, at least once a week to twice a month, to, see how she was doing, and even babysit when some stuff had gotten hard and Minto had to do all-nighters or that. Though of course he had the shadow clones and that had helped, but still. Anyway, yeah, so I mean, and so it'd go well. He'd go out, he'd seal the fox into you. She'd just look at her father he's talking about the weather, as everyone else would just be kind of anxiously waiting for a reaction. I should just go, well, guess that explains why I've got a seal in my stomach, is everyone would pretty much whack the floor. That must mean to go, what you already know? As she'd say, well, I was planning on asking you about the seal on my stomach, because, I've never seen you with a seal on your stomach, and when you mentioned that Mum was in Shinjuku, I thought, well, and when I'd seen the seal on my stomach, I thought maybe I was too. But you'd always told me that Pervy Sage had killed the fox, so I wasn't 100% sure. But well, yeah, and I do understand that obviously I'm not the fox itself. That would be stupid. I don't have 9 tails and 2 ears now, do I? Because Minato would let out sigh of relief and go, I'm just happy. Well, I'm glad at least you understand. And she'd also say, I understand why you chose me, Dad, or Pervy Sage. Well, I guess the both of yous, because, well, yeah, it kind of only makes sense. As well, as you wouldn't really sacrifice, from what Grandma and you've told me about about Mum and yourself. It's like you, obviously, you're quite rational, and so, but you'd also wouldn't really ask for someone to sacrifice their life if you wasn't willing to do it yourself, and so, yeah, you couldn't have willingly sacrificed another person's child, and plus, also it comes down to, also you may have not, also couldn't have trusted them if, their parents wouldn't have made them into, say, a weapon or something for just the use of Konoha. So you chose me instead. And he was ready, but I guess Pervy Sage had somehow stopped you from doing it and did it himself. And had convinced you that he should do it. They would kind of look at her a bit astonished of her at her skills at deduction. I think that's right. Yeah. And Kusno would be proud of her daughter and how smart she is. And the fox Kuma would go, well, at least this time I've got a smart Jinchuriki. And Kusno would just go, hey, I take offence to that. She'd turn away and puff out her cheeks as the fox would just sigh and go, you act like a kid sometimes. Just go, I don't care. Yeah. Anyway, then Mito would then ask, well, Daddy, could I possibly meet the fox? As everyone had kind of gasped and looked at her in surprise, as Minato would think for a second before going, well, I don't see why not. After all, we were the ones that had practically called, had never bothered to, understand it. So, yeah, it's, even though it may be pure chakra, it is sentient, so it's surely got to have feelings. Well, surely it does. Every living being has its own feelings in one way or another. So, as long as as long as I'm there with you, so just in case something goes wrong, and that I can tighten the seal in case something does go wrong, then I don't see why not. As they'd be looking at Minato in surprise of, not outright saying, well, no, you can't, it's dangerous, but at the same time, whereas Toby would be hesitant to agree with Minato, the other two kind of would, as well, Yukashi, to his knowledge, really didn't know anything about it, and yeah, he'd, like the others, had gone off from what other people had told them about the fox that is a demon. So, if it was actually good, and obviously because it attacked Konoha, because it was under the control of under the control of an Uchiha, then he was willing to give it possibly a chance, but only one chance. And Mito would say, it's better to give, you should always give at least, anything at least a chance to prove itself right, and it would be stupid for me to just, just kind of go as everyone else does it and call it a monster, because, I don't know if it is. Everyone else calls it a monster. How would I meant to know? Sure, it attacked Konoha, but it only attacked because it was under the control of an Uchiha, right? Minato would nod. And just Minato would go, anyway, how about we get on with the birthday? And, guys, that's what I'm going to end it here. I would have liked it to go on for at least another, to make it at least 2 hours, but I'm kind of thrown up against the wall with time, as I should have started recording earlier, but I was going to record something else, then this wife came into my mind, and here I am recording it. So yeah, so guys, if you have enjoyed this, like you enjoyed it so much, and want to see more just like this, subscribe. If you want to see part 2 of this what if, guys, tell me in the comments down below. And next week Wednesday, I guess, I will make part 2, or even maybe next week Monday I'll make part 2, who knows. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next what if video, depending on what I do, and hey, and good bye.